Hello, testing, testing. Fingers crossed. Dismiss. Testing. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully I'm live. Hopefully I'm moving forward. Sometimes, like on these videos, I think I say this every single week that we do one of these. It's like you can never really tell what's going on when you're first starting the live broadcast. So I'm going to put inside, am I live? Am I live? Put a 0 down in the chat if I'm live right now. So today we're just going to be basically talking about how one of my mentorship students signed on 3 clients last week. So one for $600 per month, and then 2 mini cleanups for about $3,000 and $4,500 respectively. So, okay, a lot of people really struggle when it comes to how to get multiple clients in a week, right? And either feels like it's kind of like you're throwing darts at a dartboard, only you have a blindfold on. And every once in a while, you might hit the board, and somebody might be like, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your services. But most people have trouble closing clients consistently, not to mention consistently closing multiple per week. I have a student inside the program, and she signed up. She did 7 consultations in January, and it's March. And now, over time, she's had 6 out of those 7 people sign up. 4 of them signed up within that first week that she first did it, and then the remaining like 3 of them were like, okay, cool, let's keep going, let's go, let's sign up. So let's talk about how to actually do that. So for me, when I got started, this stuff was incredibly challenging. So I got started about 7 years ago, but when I was getting started, like at least in my mind, the market was way different. Like we would be doing like blog posts or building websites or going to networking events, and it was just like all these traditional methods, and I had all these people in my ear saying, you need to go and do these things. And whenever I do it, it'd almost be like I would get like these lackluster results. It would seem like I would go to the networking event, and then I'd be surrounded like by business owners, but the business owners would either be like just getting started, or they already had like the local CPA, and the local CPA was doing every person's books, and you're not going to get any business going like that, blah 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 blah. And for those 6 months, it was just ridiculous. It was like, okay, cool. So I would try. I'd ask him, hey, do you want to see if I can help you out? We'd do the consultation, and then I'd talk and be like, my price is $500 a month. And they'd be like, oof, that's a lot of money. And I'd be like, wow, what's wrong? Like, why are they not wanting to pay me $500? This guy makes $1 million a year. Like he brings home $1 million a year. For some reason, $500 a month was just like out unfathomable for them. Or it would be almost like I'd have to like explain why they need accounting or why they need bookkeeping. They just wouldn't really understand. It would almost feel like I was just like kind of banging my head against the wall, talking to this thing that just wouldn't really understand, you know, why they needed the service that they said they wanted and that every business owner like needs. And when I was working in corporate America, like it was so easy to get them to pay you, right? You just go and you apply for the job. They already had the need. They didn't mind paying money and spending money on you. But then when you go like these small businesses, it would almost be like they would just be like, no, I'm not going to pay you any money. I'm not willing to pay you any money. And I couldn't really figure out why. And a lot of people that I see in courses, like I started like trying to figure out exactly like what makes someone buy, what makes someone really even want to get on the phone with you. How do you describe the value so that when you say your price at the end, people don't get scared, they don't get annoyed, they don't try and say like your price is too high. And once I really learned that and mastered that, that's when I was able to be very consistent, and that's what I share with my students nowadays as well. So let's kind of jump into this thing. So number one, okay, what's your plan? Like a lot of people say that they want to either get like a certain revenue number or they want to get a certain number of clients, but they don't really have a plan to do so. And when I say plan, I don't mean like you need to know step by step, I'm going to go here tomorrow, I'm going to go here tomorrow, I'm going to go here tomorrow. It's more of like, how many clients do you actually need in order to hit the revenue goal that you say? And then how many consultations do you need to get one client? And then how many conversations do you need to start in order to get one consultation? Then how many leads do you even have to have in order to get enough conversations to even get started? Right? You have to start backtracking from what you want. A lot of people say, like, here's the end goal. I just want a client. But they never really do the math and think about how much time it's going to take in order to go and get that result. Now, once you can do that instead, and once you have that number, then it's really easy. So, for example, let's say you have one client. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to go back into your calendar and look up how many consultation calls did you have to do in order for one person to sign up with you. Now, if you have one client, you only did one call, it's pretty easy to kind of guesstimate. So if you only had one consultation, we got to make sure that go to two clients, okay? The more clients you have, the easier it is for you to be able to do this kind of math problem, this math equation. That's going to allow you to be able to know how much work you have to do in order to go and reach your goal. Okay, we started the video by saying most people can't get clients consistently. It's because they don't have a predictable way to do the math to see how many activities and how much action they need to take in order to actually get people to pay them money. John Henry said, good morning. Brian said, 0, I am live. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see you. How's your day going so far? And like, what do you guys, what's your biggest struggle that you're seeing inside of your business right now? Hopefully I'll be able to hit it inside of my conversation, my words. But if I don't, I still want to make sure that we can make this thing interactive. Just a bit of housewarming. So if you're watching this thing live, please write #TeamLive so I can make it more interactive. I can ask better questions. I can make sure it's more tailored to you. If you're watching this thing on the replay, type in #TeamReplay because that's going to let me know that, maybe I should drop some goodies or some bonuses for the people who are watching this on the replay. And if at any time you have some questions or you want me to connect with you to discuss anything you have about growing your business, write #connect. I'll be sure to reach out to you and make sure that we can get your questions answered. And finally, if you want some help growing your business without having to make a lot of mistakes that I made and that a lot of people make on their way to not really growing their business, if you want to avoid those, go ahead and click on the link inside of the description below to book a call with me to see if I can help you inside of the private mentorship program. Now, back to what we're talking about, okay, guys? We have to do that math. If you don't do that math, it's going to take you tremendously more time to go and grow the business. For example, if you know that it takes you 2 consultations to close 1 client, okay, cool. Then you know that it takes you 4 people you have to speak to in order to book 1 consultation. You know if you're going to get 1 client, you need to go and speak to 8 people, okay? That's 4 people to get 1 call. You know it takes 2. That means you need 8. Okay, cool. So in order for you to get those 8 the 8 conversations started, how many leads do you need? So let's say, for example, that it takes you reaching out to 2 people, or you're getting 2 people to fill out your form on your website to go and get 1 conversation started. So that means that you have to do 8 times 2 again, that's 16. Okay, so then you need a grand total of 16 leads in order to go and get 1 client. Okay, cool. So now you need to multiply that out by the number of clients that you want. If that's 10, you need 160 leads. Okay, cool. So now you need to go and just look up where can you go and get 160 leads. Generally, for me, that's generally LinkedIn. Okay, that's the easiest place for me to go is LinkedIn because I can go and scrape LinkedIn. All scrape means like you can hit a search bar and then automatically just gives you a million different leads that you want. In some cases, that can be overwhelming for a lot of people, but we have a really structured process inside of my mentorship program of how to make the search more simple. So you can go and really target and hone in on the people who are actually more likely to get started and to actually work with you. So that way, when you have your leads, now you have more than enough, and now you can do your math, and now you can start going and talking to people, right? We talked earlier about how like Audrey was able to go and get, 7 consultations in 1 week. That's because she knew exactly how many people she had to speak to in order to get people to want to get on the phone with her. So all she did was, we had a coaching call. I said, hey, are you ready to grow again? She said, yeah, I'm ready to grow again. I have another person I'm willing to subcontract out some work to, and I'm ready to grow again. Okay, cool. Turn on the machine. Go send that to this many people. It's going to automatically bring you in this many calls. There's enough calls. If you had this many calls this week, would that be good for your business? Yes, it'd be good for my business. How many clients do you think you're going to pull out of that? Well, generally I pull about 50% of the people I speak to end up wanting to work for me. Okay, cool. So out of 7, we're looking at about 3.5 clients. She got 4. Okay, cool. You exceeded expectations. Then we waited another month, and we have a really structured follow-up process of how we re-educate people so that they end up either reaching back out to you and be like, hey, I've been thinking, I tried going with someone cheaper, they messed up my books, how can we get started so we can fix this thing? Generally, it takes about 3 weeks to in some cases, the longest it generally takes is about 6 months for someone to come back to you and then want to work with you. That's why she ended up closing 6 out of 7. She closed 4 in that first week, like right away. And then one person came back like a month later, and another person came back about a month and a half to 2 months later. And now she's sitting at 6 out of 7 of those people ended up wanting to work with her and actually pay her money now. Now, that's just how this stuff works. You got to know the math first, because if you don't have a plan, you're really just planning to fail. I don't mean that like in a dark or sinister kind of way. It's just you need to have a plan. You need to know exactly where you're shooting for in order to make this thing go, in order to make this thing move. Hi, Megan. Hello, Amber says hashtag live. Megan says hashtag team live. Brian says hashtag team live. Now, if you understand that part about planning and knowing your numbers, put a 1 down inside the chat below. Put a 1 inside the chat below if you know about knowing your numbers. Let me see. I see a couple 1s in the chat. Couple 1s. Cool. Cool. Like if I only had one thing I could tell somebody, it was if you just know your numbers, that's going to save you. Now another reason why like knowing this stuff is so important is because you need to start, number 2, developing comfort with people. When I was getting started, I was doing those consultations. The reason why I blew 35 consultations in a row was because 1, I didn't really have a strategy of how to do the consultations, and 2, I was very uncomfortable. Now, a lot of people, like when they're starting, they're growing their business, they're very uncomfortable in certain situations. Like they're uncomfortable talking to people in person. They're uncomfortable talking about money. They're uncomfortable feeling like they're pressuring people to pay with them. And I had all those things, right? Like I would end up like if I was wearing like a dress shirt, I'd have to change my dress shirt after the Zoom call was over because I would just be so sweaty and so nervous and always feel like I was kind of getting pushed around on those calls, right? So you really had to start developing a comfort around people. It wasn't until I started just getting relaxed around those business owners that I really started being able to, just kind of come into my own and be a little bit more aggressive with how I was talking. And, nowadays, sometimes you'll be sitting there, especially like my students, where I asked one student the other day, I was like, is this feeling like it's getting easier for you to do the consultation calls? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you notice why it's getting easier for you to do these consultation calls? And he said no, right? I said, okay, cool. So send me your consultation calls. Because generally if I'm working with you, I tell you to record all of your either Zoom calls or your phone calls so you can send them to me and I can actually analyze them to say, hey, this is why it either closed or why it didn't close. Here's how you can actually improve that in the future so that your close rate starts rising. That's why my students are averaging anywhere between about 50 to 80% of the people they speak to on their target consultation sign up at their target price point. It's just because we're just practicing so hard on a very few distinct things that allow you to be able to just get way more results. Now, the thing that we were noticing was he has a lot more swagger, a lot more comfort. He can, for lack of better words, push the business owners around. So if they say something that like either he doesn't like or that, you said earlier, you said that you had all this money sitting in the bank, you just got $1 million project. Now you're saying you only have $500 to do this to pay me? Like, what are we doing here? And then he gets them to actually talk about like why are they really hesitating to pay more money? What's the major holdups that are stopping them from getting started? And then making it very easy for him to be like, okay, cool. Well, this is why that's kind of a false belief. This is what we do instead. This is how you move it forward. And then they come and say, hey, this is the price we want to go. And it makes it very easy for him to be able to go and charge a higher price point, but it all comes from his comfort. Now, if you want to go and develop more comfort, there's 2 things you can do. One is you can actually do what's called customer research phone calls with business owners that are doing a lot more money than you. And all you're doing there is you're just kind of just getting on the phone with them, just talking about their pains, their problems, how their business is going, what they've learned about their business, and almost kind of getting on the phone and just like picking their brains, for lack of better words. And it's not that some people might think that's a waste of time, but you need to start getting around conversations people have money. In a lot of cases, those conversations actually turn to people who just say, hey, you sound like you're a really good person, you're a really smart person, do you want to maybe do our books for us? And you end up getting a client without even trying to get a client, just because you were trying to learn and trying to be comfortable around those people. Because once you start being comfortable, your true self starts coming out. And once your true self starts coming out, if you have skill sets to match what the people are looking for, then they automatically ask if you want to work with them, and they're willing to pay you more money because they actually like you and they trust you now. And a lot of people are asking like, well, how do I know if they're going to trust me? How do I gain their trust? How do I know that I can move forward? How do I know they're going to pay me money? It's like, if you can sit with the business owner and they respect you from the first time they like start the call, they're maybe a little bit hesitant, maybe they're a little bit closed off, maybe they're like not really telling you the details, but by the end of the call, you're talking, the business owner is cursing, they're just excited, they're telling you about their kids, they're telling you about their problems, they're telling you about their life, they're telling you about their dreams, their fears, why they got started with their business. At the end of that call, it's a very simple thing where it's just like you just talk the price. And then you're just basically negotiating the price from there. Like, do they want to pay you this much? Do they want to pay you this much? Why can't they afford to pay you this much? Oh, they can't afford to pay you this much. It's just they don't want to pay you this much. Well, why don't they want to pay you this much? Is it because they actually are afraid that if they pay this much money, they're not going to be able to do X, Y, Z thing, or have they just like budgeted that same money for something else? And once you're able to kind of get that comfort, you can start asking those deeper questions, and you won't have to worry about coming across as salesy or pushy because friends can push each other around as much as possible. For example, with my friend, if we're at some place, my friend does something weird, I'm like, hey, that like, why did you do that? If your friend said something that was either embarrassing or said something that should not have been said or said something that was offensive over the line, if you're friends, you can say, why did you do that? What's up? Why did you made me feel this kind of way. I didn't like that, right? And you're able to kind of tell them what you're feeling without worrying about like whether or not the relationship's going to go bad or whether you're making them uncomfortable, because you have this rapport and this relationship built up. And you can do a lot more stuff once that's built up. So hopefully this video has been helpful so far. Now, once again, if you want some help growing your business, maybe even trying to do this stuff, and either maybe you've been doing it an old way, but you've been trying to go and grow your business, but you want a new opportunity. You want a new way to be able to go and grow your business in a quarter of the time it takes most people. Most people, like when they're starting the business, they think that it has to take them like a year or 2 years to get to like $29,000 a year. We have a totally new way of doing this business. It's so much easier, so much simpler, and it grows so much faster. But most people don't know it exists because most people are tied to the old conventional ways. If you want to learn about growing your business in the shortest time period possible, and you want to see if I can help you do that, I recommend you go ahead and click on the link inside the description or even the comment section below to book a call with me. On that call, we're going to look at where are you right now, where do you want to go, and then thirdly, if I think it can help, I'll outline the process of what it looks like for you to grow, and then we can move forward and work together. If that's you, I'd love to see you on the call. If you're not quite ready or the time is just not right, that's okay too. I'll see you inside the next video, maybe on my YouTube channel or my Facebook group, wherever you're coming from. And I can't wait to talk to you soon. See you later. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Hello, Suzanne. I see you waved. Hello, Megan. Hello, Brian. Great to see you guys. Talk to you soon.